Good morning. It's been over a month since I did one of these. Apparently, the good people of Washington County have been burning up the phones over there at Mail Call, so instead of saying something cute here up front, I'm just going to dive right in. The following comments are taken from editions of Mail Call printed in the Herald-Mail from July 21st to August 12th, 2010, which can be viewed in their entirety at www.herald-mail.com. You'll never hear me accuse most people of being real intelligent. After all, they elected Obama president. And while I'm on the subject, I would like to know exactly what he did as a community organizer. I mean, that could be a million different things. Apparently, whatever he did didn't give him much grooming to be president. I hate to say it, but I told you so. Sharpsburg. I don't hate to say this, you didn't tell me shit. You don't get to say I told you so because I have no idea who the fuck you are. You didn't write a letter to the editor. You didn't post a video with your name and your face. You haven't done anything to stand behind your own opinion. You still haven't. All you've done is call into the anonymous reader comment page of a shitty local newspaper. And you not knowing what the term community organizer means doesn't make the term meaningless. It just makes you an incurious idiot. Just ask yourself one question. What language are you expected to speak when in France? Hewitt area. Well, now that would depend on what part of France you're in, wouldn't it? In Paris and most other metropolitan areas, most everybody speaks some dialect or another of French. But if you live up north, you might speak French Flemish, which is a dialect of Dutch. If you live to the east in Alsace, you might speak Alsatian, which is a dialect of German. If you're down near the border with Spain, you might speak Basque or Catalan. If you're on Corsica, you might speak Corsican. I cheated, by the way. I didn't just ask myself. I found out the actual answer. Here's another one from Hagerstown. To the Hagerstown caller who says that Limbaugh lies. Can he tell me one lie? This is a typical tactic of the left. Call them a racist or say they are lying without any documentation. Well, the American people have caught on to this scam and will show it in November. Again, can you tell me one lie? Oh, come on. Finding a lie by Rush Limbaugh is about as difficult as pointing to a piece of sky. Try these. On June 9th, 2004, Limbaugh claimed on his radio show that AIDS, quote, still hasn't made that jump to the heterosexual community, except in Africa. According to a report issued earlier that same year by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, 75% of new AIDS cases among women and 15% of new AIDS cases among men were the result of heterosexual contact. A few months later, on November 10, 2004, after the 9/11 Commission report had refuted the claim that there was a connection between Iraq and the 9/11 terrorists, Rush told a caller on his radio show, quote, the fact that there's no relationship to Iraq and 9/11, nobody ever said that there was. Nobody except then Vice President Dick Cheney, an occasional guest on Rush's show, who made the claim publicly and repeatedly in the months and years following 9/11. You want a more recent one? Okay. Week before last, Rush claimed on his radio show that Michelle Obama's trip to Spain was being paid for by federal dollars, that we, the taxpayers, were funding her vacation. Nope. According to a report published by the LA Times the day before Rush made his comments, personal expenses for the trip, like hotel rooms, meals, etc., are being covered by the Obamas. That good enough for you? Because I've got more. I want to complain about President Obama. Ever since he's been in office, I've been unemployed. And times are rough, and all the stress and everything. I think it's because of the unemployment issues. And I go out every day, I go on the internet every day, and still no job. I submit my resume, and I never hear anything back. And I wait for months and months, and I just think something's wrong here. Keedysville. Okay, this is ridiculous. President Obama, knock it off. Let this poor guy get a job. Seriously. It was funny for the first few months, but now you have to stop personally preventing all these hardworking Americans from finding employment. Okay? For real. I know he watches, so. Every time I go to the doctor, I have to show ID and I have to show my health insurance card. So what's the big deal? I have nothing to hide. If you don't have anything to hide, what's the big deal? Hagerstown. If you don't have anything to hide, what's the big deal? Ah, the presumption of guilt. It's one of our founding principles. Next up from Boonesboro. Wait, did I say it was one of our founding principles? Sorry, I meant to say it's a vulgar affront to one of our most cherished values. My bad. Senator Cardin evidently thinks that his constituents are stupid, gullible, and demented. Boonesboro. And he's right, about some of them at least, to wit. Department of School, you're starting the schools too early. How are all these parents going to get their money back that they paid out for prepaid vacations? I went to school and we started in September and we got out in May and we still got our 180 days in. If you didn't take off so many days that you didn't need to take off, worthless days, you could get out. School's starting too early and the people have money spent, us included, and we can't get our vacation money back, so what are our kids supposed to do? Clear Spring. So wait, you're pissed with the Board of Education because you booked a non-refundable vacation that conflicts with the start of the school year. What, did you book it like a year in advance? The calendar for this school year was published back in February. How is it anyone else's fault that you were too stupid to look at it before you put down your deposit? What do you think he means by worthless days? Here's one from Falling Waters. I used to wonder how places like Russia and China and places like that have communism, how they got that way, and I think I now know. Ever since President Obama has been in office, he has pushed and shoved things down our throat that we do not want, and the House and the Senate and the representatives are going along with him. Actually, Russia and China became communist after long, bloody revolutions. The things forced down the throats of those who didn't go along with the revolutionaries weren't health care and financial reform. They were, bullets. Finally, something I can agree with the Republican Party about: putting a stop to the automatic citizenship of babies born in this country to foreigners. I have to wonder why it was ever made a part of the Constitution, as it makes no sense whatsoever. They have my support. Greencastle, Pennsylvania. There was this thing called slavery. Maybe you've heard of it. It was legal in this country for like 100 years. Slaves were prohibited from gaining citizenship, and in fact weren't even recognized as fully people. I can't be the first one to be telling you this. Anyway, ratifying the 14th Amendment was our forebears' way of correcting that little error in judgment and ensuring that we of future generations would not repeat their mistake. And apparently, it mostly worked. Your golden years are when you're young and free. Once you're married and try to raise your children right, they love you at first, and then when they get married or move away from home, they don't come home, and the visits and calls are far and few between, and then they don't come home at all. Is that love? Washington County. Mom, shut up. President Obama says vote D for drive or R for reverse. I kind of think it's vote R for read the bill, D for don't bother. Smithsburg. Yeah, but see, the president's version works because he's drawing an analogy between the first letters of the Democratic and Republican parties and the drive and reverse modes on an automobile's transmission. It's something that we're familiar with from everyday life. It's not the best political slogan, I'll give you that. It's a little clunky. It's no vote as you shot, or Tilden or blood, or Arbeit macht frei. But it works. Yours, though, makes no sense. You're not drawing an analogy from the choice between Democrats and Republicans on Election Day and something else to help get your point across. I see D for drive and R for reverse every time I climb in my truck. Where do I ever see D for don't bother and R for read the bill? Or do you think that the congressional email client looks like this? And finally, the 9 most terrifying words in the English language are, I'm from the government and I'm here to help. Clear Spring. That whole thing is a quote from Ronald Reagan. Reagan also said, freedom prospers when religion is vibrant, which I would nominate under the 6-word category. It's not that hard to come up with a scenario where the phrase, "I'm from the government and I'm here to help," would not only not be terrifying, but would be downright welcome. If I were drowning in a flood, for instance. No, there must be dozens, hundreds of 9-word phrases in English that are way, way more terrifying than that. Phrases like, "Newt Gingrich is the President of the United States." "We are going to have to build a nursery." Or, "You will soon be dead of lung cancer, dickhole." I needed a 9th word. Thanks for watching.